Today we are going to be interviewing Mr. Shipley, who is going to tell us about what it's like to live with cardiac valve dysfunction. So the first question we're going to start with is, how old were you when you realized you had a heart problem?
Hello class, my name is Daniel, my given name. I was approximately 5-6 years old when I was told by my parents that I had a aortic insufficiency, commonly known back in the mid-1940s as a heart murmur, because you could hear the deficient valve operation.
Okay, and what were your major symptoms?
I had no major symptoms besides that detectable by stethoscope. I was no shortness of breath, no unable to keep up with my playmates or anything until my late teenage years. So starting about 1960, when I was 19, I noticed that I was short of breath upon extreme exertion, that out hunting, chasing antelope, whatever. But you never notice your own insufficiencies or limitations when you're young, because you can push your body. Your body responds amazingly well, and your peer group may not be that good at exercise anyway.
Okay, and so how old were you when you decided to go through with treatment?
Having noticed my shortness of breath and visiting a cardiologist, it was suggested in the mid-60s, so I was about 25 years old, and that I should have a cardiac catheterization, which at that time, in the early 1960s, was in itself a brand new science. The diagnosis or diagnostic work on a living, beating heart was not well known and not well developed as a science. This all kind of took a tremendous spurt of interest and technology when Christian Barnard, a cardiologist in South Africa, performed the first heart transplant and open heart surgeries, and that was an amazing advance in medical technology because it was operating on a living, beating heart all at the same time. So bypass technology, new valve, artificial valve technology, all of that came into play in a culmination of technical advance in the mid-60s.
So it was all very new whenever...
All brand new. So I went through a diagnostic procedure, cardiac catheterization, and the analysis at that point was just keep on living your life in a modest, normal way. Try and buy time so that the development of artificial and natural prosthetic devices to replace your aortic valve could develop to their optimum in the future. So that's exactly what I did. I went from the mid-60s, knowing that I would have to have future heart surgery, and waited and lasted until 1999. So 35 years. I held on until technology developed and my condition deteriorated. So in 1999 I had my first valvular replacement, aortic valvular replacement. I was born with a bicuspid valve, should be a tricuspid aortic valve. So naturally there's a lot of backflow, back leakage, insufficiency in the medical term, and my left ventricle was overworking, trying to keep up a normal output, and was slowly enlarging into what was called a athlete's heart, and I had not yet progressed to the point of ventricular hypertrophy, where the heart muscle stretches beyond a point of no return and you have a permanently enlarged heart, which would be a fatal problem.
So, how did you choose when it was time for your surgery whether to have a biological prosthesis or a mechanical prosthesis?
The determination for me was, having been exposed to the oncoming inevitable problem, looking around at other patients and other people in the news and what kind of valve they got, was very apparent to me that going with a mechanical prosthetic device was not desirable because of the necessity of continuous lifelong maintenance on anticoagulants. And this is a result of a tilting valve opening, closing, opening, closing, and when it comes down on that annulus, that ring sewn into your heart, it crushes the red blood cells and causes cellular debris, and that's why you have to be heparinized to prevent that cellular debris from forming blood clots elsewhere in your body. And unfortunately, that makes you very susceptible to bruising and bleeding and all the effects of hemorrhage, strokes, whatnot. So it's a very efficient valve, but it's not one for life.
So, what was having open heart surgery like? Before and after, what were your thoughts going into it and coming out of it?
I can say with assurance that it's better to be anesthetized and having no thoughts during surgery. The consequence of going through open heart surgery when your life has been relatively healthy is quite a shock, because you go from never having seen a doctor for any other reason to undergoing life-threatening surgery. So that's kind of a adjustment, a shock. At that point, you have to have a great deal of trust in your cardiac team, and a lot of chatter back and forth about how many times have you done this, doctor, and all those issues. And basically, you don't have a choice. Your heart's failing. You just want to pick the best team, and it's a team event. You might be the best surgeon in the world, but you have to have a team behind that very skilled surgeon in order to make all this happen. And that includes the manufacturer of the, in my case, a bovine type artificial valve, kind of a natural tissue that is very durable, taken from the endothelium, the lining of a cow's heart. So, coming out of surgery is a real shock. When I came out of surgery, before I recovered my awareness, they discovered that I had a bleeder vessel in the myocardium that they didn't get sutured. So 2 hours after my surgery, I had to go back in. My chest opened up and cauterize that bleeder arterial. I didn't know that, but I did know that I was unaware of what was going on for like 12 hours. And it was a shock to me. When you're younger, you can put up with a lot. But when you come out of surgery, you realize you are fragile, and it is unusual, at least for me, a young male guy, never dependent on anybody, to now be totally dependent. So that was a shock to me.
So now that you have fully recovered, what side effects are you seeing, and is there anything that separates you from your peers now, or you feel that you're perfectly healthy?
I'm never going to be perfectly healthy, but I can only say that because I knew I had a serious condition from birth, I always was aware of not further damaging myself by smoking, drinking, bad things throughout my life. So as other people around me that were normal abused their bodies and kind of aged, I was able to keep up my health in other aspects and be very active in hunting, fishing, golfing, all sorts of things, water polo. But with the knowledge that I was going to have a shortened cardiac life unless I took care of this valve. And I've managed to make good health decisions so far. And at my current age, which is 95, 74, I'm in pretty good shape.
Alrighty. Well, it sounds like he's doing very well, and thank you for your time.
You're welcome, and happy health.